It's almost Christmas Eve up at the North Pole, and all the toys, it's wrapping time, and all the toys are in line, all excited, ready to get wrapped up, and all the elves are running around making sure they're done. And one toy is not sure she wants to leave and go to a child's home. And so she's having her doubts. She just wants to stay at the North Pole with Santa. So she bolts out the door and runs out into the snow and gets totally lost in the snow. And she's there by herself for the first time. She's by herself, and she's looking at the stars, and there's one star that's bigger than all the rest. And so she starts running toward that star, and it turns out to be a hole in the sky. So she sticks her arm in, and it's warm in there. So she decides she's going to go in. So she pushes herself through the hole, and she lands in this place, which is Paperland. So I'll get her. This is Dolly, and she's the one who has run off. So she winds up in Paperland, and she's just amazed. It's beautiful. It's so interesting. She's like dancing around, la 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 la, and then she sees some wrapping paper on that tree, and she gets a little pouty mouth because she knows that Christmas Eve is coming soon, and she's missing it all. And she gets tired, and she sits down next to this creek, and she starts moaning to the creek about how she's alone and there's no one to play with, and maybe she'd like to go home now, but she doesn't know where to go. And the creek talks back to her, surprisingly enough,
wow, and
says, look for a dragonfly. So she goes, oh boy, it's a treasure hunt. So she looks all around, and she looks at everything really close. And then over here, in these flowers, she sees a picture of a dragonfly. And she touches it, and it comes alive. And I have the dragonfly over there, but you have to pretend it's with her. Okay. So she gets all excited, and they set off through the forest, and they walk and walk and walk, and they wind up smelling butter.
Butter.
And they cross the land over a hill, and they wind up in popcorn land.
That's all popcorn.
It's all popcorn, and she's just thrilled, and she stuffs it in her mouth, and she grabs a garland off this tree and wraps it around her, and she's so excited. And the dragonfly is munching popcorn, and it's so great, and she thinks, oh, well, I'm probably very close to the North Pole because this is such a great place. And so, she's thrilled, and she's just following along the path, and boom, 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 when bam, she runs into a big black bird. She falls on her butt. And it's not popcorn she falls on, it's hard ground. And she gets up and she starts screaming at the birds, "You're eating up popcorn land, you big bad birds! We don't care. We like popcorn. But if you eat it all up, it'll all be gone, don't you see? Well, we don't care if it's all gone. We can just fly off somewhere else." And then they start eyeing the dragonfly. And so the dragonfly has to run off before he gets eaten. So she runs after the dragonfly, and they're deep into this land where it used to be popcorn land, but now it's just nothing. And then she realizes that there's letters in the ground. And it says, "Ask for help." And she looks around, but there's nobody to ask. Well, all they can do is keep going. Maybe they'll find someone to ask. So they keep going. And they keep going, and they rise up the final hill, and they see that the path leads right into a dark metal forest. And this will be a night scene. So it's all dark and blue and purple, and everything's kind of tinkling, and it's kind of creepy, and she's getting a little scared. She's wondering, she thinks, well, maybe I shouldn't be in this forest. I think I'll go the other way, but now she's totally lost. And then she hears a voice. Get out of my forest! No, I can't. I don't know how to get out of your forest. And she meets this creature right here.
Which one?
This right there.
Oh, that one. Oops, that's my thumb.
There you go.
Oh, yeah. Ooh.
And he's called the Prinks. And they argue back and forth. And she starts feeding him some of her popcorn for her to get more information.
So she's been squirreling away the popcorn.
Yeah, she's got this garland around her,
yeah,
see?
So you told us about it.
Yeah. So finally, he says, well, I don't know how to get to North Pole, but I do know who to ask. And so he says, state your query loudly and clearly.
Oh.
And she doesn't know what that means, but she just yells into the wilderness, how do I get to the North Pole? And it turns out that this tree, whose leaves are letters, all the letters reassemble and they form one word right in front of her nose. And the word is bear. B-E-A-R. She goes, bear? I don't want to meet a bear. And the prince says, oh, don't worry. That's just teddy bears. If you go up that path and keep going, you'll meet the teddy bears. And they'll tell you, the king of teddy bears will tell you which way to go. Well, won't you come with me? I really would love for you to come with me. There's really good hot chocolate and cookies at the North Pole. And he thinks about it, but then he turns around and leaves her alone. So she's alone with her dragonfly, and they go up the path, and they keep going through the night, and the next morning, the dawn breaks, and the land has changed, and now it's soft and comfy and cozy.